What's up, and happy Wednesday, fam. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you had a good 3-day weekend, and I hope that you took some time to reflect on how and why we have some of the freedoms that we do in our country. And I know right now is a very touch and go time. I know there's a lot of angst and anxiety that resides within some of us in our system, but we do have to give thanks to those who put their lives on the line for us. And so I hope that while you were enjoying your long weekend, that you did remember to say thank you in your heart of hearts to the people who were defending our freedoms. And now we are getting ready for the show. I had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Devon Teeple, and Devon is someone that I actually met through LinkedIn. It's amazing to see how much of our contact that I've been making has been through LinkedIn for so many different things. But he is a leader and a motivator. He's an entrepreneur. Not only is he a mental health advocate, but he also played in the Frontier League, which you'll learn a little bit about here in this episode. But he has been sober for 14, almost 15 months now. So he is absolutely a phenomenal person. He lives in Canada. And we just kind of talked about his journey through sobriety and how different it was from obviously mine and possibly some other people. I really want you to listen to this episode because while he doesn't go to meetings, he does other things to take care of his mental health. And one day he knew that he needed to quit drinking and he made that decision. And it was just a very interesting and eye opening way for me to learn about sobriety because he was able to have the wherewithal to really go, I have a problem and I really don't want to be like this anymore. So please listen to his story. There is a little bit of interference because we were having some technical issues. I buffed it out as best I could, but the episode is still fantastic. And I really hope that you are enjoying the people that we have on our episodes here. And please let me know if there's someone that you want to hear about or a subject you want to hear about because we will definitely enter those in so that we can make sure we are talking to anybody and everybody to help you stay sober. But let's get into today's episode and let me know what you think.
Hi, and welcome to a Sober Girls podcast. My name is Sherry, and I am your host. Every Wednesday, we get together and we talk about our journey in sobriety, what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. I've been sober for over 10 years now, and I realized that one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was just putting the plug in the jug and not drinking. I never took care of my emotional sobriety, did my step work, or was fully involved in the program until it was almost too late. This is my story, my experience, strength, and hope, and what life is like for me on a daily basis as a recovering alcoholic and addict. I am so glad that you are with me, and now, let's get into it.
Morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. This is Sherry, your host, and today we have a special guest. His name is Devon Teeple, and I met him on LinkedIn. We both have a mutual interest, but you guys are not going to believe this. We actually don't know each other. I just said, hey, I see that you're really proud of your sobriety. Would you love to come and talk to us about it? And he said, sure. So welcome, Devon, to the show.
Yes, thank you so much, Sherry. I'm flattered and humbled to be here. So thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. So Devon, like we said, I don't know much about you. I do see that you're heavily involved in baseball like I am. So why don't you give us a little bit of your background, what you do, and then we'll kind of just go from there and talk about your story.
Yeah, sounds good. So I guess, wow, that's a bit of a loaded question, Sherry. So I'll try to keep it short. Well, I guess I'll start with the baseball background. Born and raised in a small town, Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. So population, I think is approximately 15,000, give or take. And
Ontario, Canada, really?
yeah, it's about 15, 20 minutes from Buffalo, 4 hours from, or sorry, about an hour and a half from Toronto, give or take. So, nice, quiet area. The parents gave me a phenomenal opportunity to, play baseball and, grow, after all these years. And, nothing but fond memories about Niagara. And that's where I started baseball, probably around 6 or 7 from when I was about 12 or 13, travel baseball, which took us all over Ontario into the state, Buffalo, Detroit. Are we connected? Hey Sherry, I'm back. I think I lost you, Sherry. I'm back now.
You did, but I'm patient and I am here. I lost you at Buffalo, New York, and Buffalo, New York, and about 6 or 7 in travel ball.
So from the travel ball, it gave us an opportunity to travel all over Ontario, go to the border, Buffalo, and obviously played against some great competition. From there, was able to receive a scholarship to York College in Nebraska, which is now York University, and about 500 people in that school, but it allowed me to start from day one. And I won't lie, we weren't a good team those first couple of years, but it was a program that was sort of quite a bit of a rebuild project. And by the time my junior and senior season came around, we had a new coach, came from California, brought in a lot of guys from California that really, stepped up our game, really put us on a level that, allowed us to perform the way we should perform. And we received national votes, and really did some good things for the program. The program's thriving now with leadership that was from former players that were on our team that are now leading the program. And it's great to see what they're doing, right? And, and of course, playing professionally, played in the Frontier League, independent baseball for a
friend in the Frontier League right now.
Yes, you are?
Yeah, no, not me. A friend of mine. He he's up there right now, and he says it's different, but he absolutely loves it.
Yeah, and I thought I read somewhere that you were involved in the league somehow. I wasn't sure. I may be mistaken, but yeah, you know what? The Frontier League Independent Baseball gave me the opportunity to live out that dream, and that's something that I will never forget. I got paid to play baseball, which is fantastic. But the players on our team, there was one guy on our team that was mentioned in Moneyball, Dave Beck, the Creature. We had a few guys on our team that played at levels in AAA, AA. A couple of our guys actually made it to AAA in Oakland. After spending some time in the Frontier League and on the Gateway Grizzlies, which was great to see, right? Because it just proves that no matter what level of athletics you're at, whether it's baseball, football, hockey, anything, if you have talent, people are going to find you.
Oh yeah.
And this was just proof positive, right? I had the opportunity to live out a dream, and I'm just I'm one person from a small town that in Ontario that obviously in Canada we're known for hockey, right? But
yes.
Now with the accessibility that we have to showcase our skills, right? Canada is becoming a bigger haven for baseball. Blue Jays, of course, are doing some great things, and yeah, it was a phenomenal experience, and one that I will never ever forget. That's for sure.
That is absolutely awesome. And actually, you are right. I'm involved in the league a little bit in 2 different aspects. I work for a company called Twins Daily. We are one of the only approved fan-based news outlets for Minnesota Twins, and it has brought me so much joy. Because I really realize, like you said, how many different levels of baseball there are. And I actually have a friend who couldn't get picked up right away, and now he's playing for the Maryland Blue Crabs. And I had never heard of that team before. I had never heard of that league before. So learning about the Frontier League and learning about what he's doing out there have been absolutely awesome. And there's just so many things about baseball that, people don't realize. I think it's funny because people seem to think that the guys in single A through triple A are not professional ball players, or the guys in the Frontier League are not professional. But if you're getting paid to do something, you're a professional, right? Like you're absolutely a pro. You might not be playing, in one of the 30 big teams, but you are definitely a professional. And I absolutely have learned a lot about how the Frontier League and these other smaller Atlantic leagues can actually feed into LB. So that's really cool. I love that. I did not know that about you.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you saw it. I did post on my Wellness Wednesday today. I interviewed Bill Rogan. He reached out to me a few months ago, because he's coaching in the Pecos League, which is it's not one of the big four indie leagues, but it's been around going on 13 years now, which is phenomenal for independent baseball. And so Bill reached out to me about trying to get some exposure for some of his players that were trying to get to the next level, which allowed me to interview one of his players, Drake Ayala, and led me to an interview yesterday with Bill, where he talked about the importance of the Pecos League, the importance of independent baseball in the grand scheme of things, where it allows people to get that, that exposure where, if you're not, one of the top, 200 prospects in the game, you didn't get drafted, you're playing at a small school and you're not getting, the looks from the scouts, so to speak. The Pecos League has provided those opportunities for a lot of those players. And those players are getting to play in higher levels of independent baseball. They're getting picked up by affiliated teams. They're getting, they're in lower minor league levels. Some have made it to professional baseball, by way of the Pecos League. So, you know what? Doesn't matter what league you're in. If you can throw strikes, if you can hit the ball, people are going to find you, right? And that's the beauty of this game.
And the relationship.
If you have talent, someone will
find
see
out
it,
how
right?
small the world is once you get into baseball.
Exactly.
And I love that because the family aspect of everything is so insane. And the people that are willing to help me with my nonprofit and my HBCU players and my team and creating all these opportunities for them, because it's amazing. The baseball community, a lot like the sobriety community, is all about taking care of our own and making sure that we help the next generation, whatever that generation looks like. So I love that you've had these opportunities, because it just once again shows me how awesome the baseball community is.
I've said it better myself, Sherry. It's great.
So tell me a little bit about. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, go ahead, Sherry.
So tell me a little bit about your sobriety journey. When did all of this, we say, well, when did you start drinking? For me, when I really sat down and thought about it, I realized that around 12, 13, 14, I started drinking. When did I realize that it was a problem? Well, not until I got sober. So tell me a little bit about your history and what you have done throughout all of this business and playing baseball, because we do know a couple of people who have had addiction problems, and cocaine was huge in the 80s, obviously. And, so talk to me a little bit about how you got through baseball. What's your sobriety story? What's your addiction story?
Yeah, no one's ever really asked me about these sobriety stories. So that's, this will be a first. I just kind of, started posting some things, over the past year, right? I think it's at, 14, 15 months. I haven't had any alcohol, which, thinking back is bizarre and crazy. And I never thought I would go this long without having a drink. And, looking back on it, it probably, thinking back, I've always had a drink regardless, right? Whether it be at a restaurant, in the evening, at lunch, it's one or two, right? And um, whether it was the frequency or the amount, I'm not really sure, but I always remember in my whole life, I'd go out at any point. You go to the bar with your friends, you go to the restaurant, you go to a game, a barbecue. You're always bringing booze, right? You're always bringing some sort of beverage, whether it's vodka, gin, a beer, whatever it is. It just it just became a regular occurrence, and there really wasn't any point where I thought, you know, things are out of control, but maybe I could, cut back, right? For health reasons. Maybe instead of having two, three, four, five, six on a weekend, or whatever. You tie one on a weekend because the fights are on, or the World Series, on, whatever it is. Right? It could be 100 different things. There is, that point where you think, maybe, I don't need to drink after work, or I don't need to have a drink while I'm watching TV or watching the game or whatnot. And I think it really came to the forefront when, um, my son was born, and he has autism. So there's the added piece on how do you handle situations in a calm, cool perspective, right? And
Yeah.
that's a huge factor, right? Is to be able to be level-headed and have a clear mind when you're trying to take care of your family, and you're trying to work, and you're trying to do all these things at the same time. I think the very first time I really started thinking about um, not drinking, I read Basketball Junkie by Chris Guerin, and I've had multiple conversations with Chris, about his sobriety and his addiction battle, and what he went through, and if I could recommend a read, Basketball Junkie is one that I've read many times, and the 30/30 documentary that he did through ESPN is phenomenal. If you just Google his name, you'll see everything that he's doing right now. But that was really the first time I really started thinking about what I could do differently in my life, and even going back to college, Chris was in the news a lot, right? For good things, his basketball career, and of course the negatives, right? Because he was in the limelight a lot with his addiction battles and struggles, and it's big time news when a player of his caliber gets picked out or pinpointed or talked about because of addiction, right?
Oh,
And back then,
absolutely.
I'm in school at that time, and I'm, 19, 20, 21 years old, and like, hey, this guy's playing basketball, and, he's got all these things going on in the background. Hey, man, he's cool, right? That's great. He can do all this while, struggling. And it's a different mindset when you're younger like that, right? And it's something you don't think about, behind the scenes of what someone's going through. And, when I read that book, this was going back to probably 2011. So it's been that long, thinking about, what I can do to improve upon myself as a person, how to improve my character, and everything that goes on with that. So I made the conscious decision one day, and talking to my wife, and taking into account everything, with two young kids, that what, drinking isn't the most important thing in the world, and it's something that maybe I should cut back on for X amount of reasons. And I think it was January 24th of 2022, if I'm correct, that I made that decision. And it's been awesome. I'm a big proponent of sharing my journey, because you never know who's listening, right? Like,
Right.
for example, we were able to connect, via social media, and now we're able to talk to each other, get to know each other, and learn more about our journeys because of, some of the things I shared, right? And, we both know, mental health and addiction and struggle, it's a thing that affects a lot of people. A lot of people struggle in silence. And, if someone's able to see, one thing that I post, or if someone's able to see this conversation, it may help them take that next step, right? And, like I said, the very first time I read Chris Herron's book was in 2011, I believe. And, it's taken this long to, fully grasp, the impact that his message has had on me, right? And, I'm proud to share that, it's 14, 15 months of no booze. And yeah, it's pretty incredible when you think about it, right? It's a humbling experience, to say the least.
It really is. And when you were, we go back to college, and how many times have you heard an alcoholic say, I thought this was the normal thing to do in college. I thought this was, and then once you leave college, you're like, oh, I guess it's not that normal, but you don't realize it's truly an issue. Did you ever have a coach, a player, your wife, a friend say to you, man, you know what? This is just a little bit messy. Has that plug ever come from someone else?
I I I think, conversations with my wife when we were talking about things. I think it came up in conversation, but I think holistically, um, I think it was time to really truthfully talk about, you know, the impact that drinking can have in the long term, right?
Yeah.
And when you have the conversation about, maybe it's time, maybe I should cut back, how this will affect her if I keep drinking, how this will affect my kids, if I drink and something happens, those are those are impactful thoughts and conversations, right? That you don't really think about. Yeah,
Huge.
you don't really think about that until something bad happens, right? So, there was no one really ever in, my college days, my playing days, anything like that, where um, someone said, "Hey, maybe you're drinking too much," but you never know, right? Because with mental health and anxiety and depression and the things that I've talked about in the past, no one really knew about that stuff either, because I was really good at hiding it, right? And you become a very good actor when you're dealing with things, and you see all these people that are happy on the outside, but deep down that they're really struggling. And once they come out with it, you find out, like, holy smokes, like those signs were there, but no one really picked up on it because you never really made it a big deal. And I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it makes sense to me. It makes sense to
Total
me
sense.
in the moment. And looking back now, like, there's probably some times, yeah, there may have been something there that I should have picked up on myself, but you become selfish, and you're worrying about you
Yes.
all the time. You're not worrying about those outside factors in the environment that you're in, right? And you're always worried about how you look, and am I going to fit in, and all this other stuff that can come with that, right? It's Pandora's box, and you start thinking about everything that contributed to the point that you're at right now. So that's a lot to unpack there, Sherry. I'm sorry.
No, it's perfect. You know what it tells me? It tells me that you're an alcoholic. And the fact that you were oddly self-aware is really kind of cool, to be honest, Devon, because there's a lot of us alcoholics that aren't self-aware. We show up in meetings to save our marriage. We show up in meetings because the judge tells us to. Our wife is going to leave us. Our husband's going to leave us. So we end up in these meetings out of fear. And not saying that you didn't have that fear. You obviously did. You wanted to be a good husband. You wanted to be a good father. Your youngest son obviously has developmental conditions, not issues, that you need to be aware of. And it's at that moment of clarity when you quit drinking, when you remove the fog, when you remove the medication, that you realize I probably should have done this in 2011 when I read that book 12 years ago.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, right.
And
There's nothing wrong with having a virgin Caesar, right? They're still
no,
good.
not at all. And I love that because the one thing that I've really been trying to hit home on this podcast is that everybody's story is different. Not every
Mhm.
alcoholic and addict are, going to come to our conclusions the same way. And you sound like I was at one point before I really got bad, a very high functioning alcoholic. Never
Mhm.
truly messy, but never unable to handle life, but probably shouldn't have been drinking as much as you did, and
Mhm.
it is a progressive disease. And how much worse would things have gotten? How would you have handled your son's autism,
Yeah.
if you
Mhm.
kept drinking? Would you have drank and left your wife to deal with it because you were too
Yep.
stressed? So
Mhm.
self-awareness,
Exactly right. Yeah,
yes, the
that's a
self-awareness you
that
have, Devon, is huge.
that's a great way to put it, right? Because you just think about the what ifs, right? Like, what if I kept doing this? And we all know, COVID and being locked in and all that stuff. That affects everybody differently. It triggers stuff. You're just sitting there, right? I'm just sitting here doing nothing. I'll just have a drink, whatever. That one leads to two, two leads to three, and then who knows what happens after that, right? But
Right.
yeah, everyone's story is different, and you know what, you have to prioritize, right? And I think that's you know a lot of people have trouble realizing that you have to be accountable for your actions, and if you're not, then bad things can happen, right? So I think
Accountability is such a huge part.
yeah, it's a big word, right? It's a very simple concept that we lose sight of sometimes.
Absolutely. So how do you attend meetings? How do you stay sober? What do you do in your daily life, meditation wise, reading wise? What
Yeah.
works for you specifically?
I think my writing, the jamesperspective.com, running my nonprofit is they keep me grounded, and obviously, having conversations with people like yourself definitely puts things in perspective. Fitness is obviously a big one. I'm a big runner.
Huge.
I've never been a fan of running, but once I get going, I'm good with it, right? And the way I look at it, it's 45 to 60 minutes of time spent where nothing can bother you, right? Whether it's on the treadmill or whether you're outside, you got the earbuds in, and listening to music or whatever gets you by, and that's my drink, right? That's my
Yes.
addiction. You replace one with another in a positive way, right? And it's that's 45 to 60 minutes of this new regime, so to speak, that keeps me level headed. Seeing the progress I've made with weight loss and eating healthy. My wife is vegan. I'm not fully vegan. I have my cheat days, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's allowed me to be more healthy in my eating habits. Staying to a plan of, okay, this is what I want to accomplish. This is what I want to do. And all of those things, right, have allowed me to stay the course. And I think sometimes when you're having those bad days, you just look for those outlets that are comfortable for you, that keep you grounded. And of course, anything I could do to share what I'm doing, which could help someone else, is always a motivating factor, so to speak.
Absolutely. Well, I want to switch gears just a teensy bit because you do have a nonprofit, and which is the reason you and I kind of have a little bit more in common. We both run nonprofits. And I wanted to tell you this. I have a friend named Kate, and she I met her on TikTok. She's also involved with the Yankees, and all season she's been running a mile the next day um, for all the runs that the Yankees get. And so she's been consecutively running like 10, 11, 13 miles every day.
Jeez,
I've
that's
never.
intense.
It's
That's
like,
intense right there.
yeah,
That's intense.
yeah. So when she played my team, when she played the Twins and they only got like one run, I was like, you're welcome. Like, you're very welcome for the break. So, yes, I could never run like that. But let's talk about running and walking tall and your nonprofit. Can you explain a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so obviously the running is a big thing right now. Of course, I've been posting a lot about running with a cause, running for a cause. The initiative I've done for about 2 or 3 years now. Every kilometer I run for the month of May for Mental Health Awareness Month, I'm donating $2 per kilometer to a local nonprofit or mental health organization in North Bay, Ontario, where I'm currently residing. And anytime I can post about it, whether it's on my Wellness Wednesday blog or post on Instagram or anything like that, it's focusing on the running aspect, staying fit, staying healthy, keeping your mind clear, and of course, the post is geared toward mental health awareness. Trying to keep that conversation top of mind, and instead of focusing on it for a week or a month, let's ensure that we're talking about it all the time, right? Because the world's changing, the environment we're in, because of COVID has changed a lot of things, right? And with working from home, working from the office, there's a lot going behind the scenes that people don't know about. So if you treat people with compassion, treat people with respect, it allows them to be themselves, even if things, may not be perfect, right? So that's really sort of the big picture behind all of this. And the non-for-profit, it's called Ignite Change. It is, I'm focusing on, teaching youth about baseball, teaching the fundamentals of the game, teaching it the right way, how to throw, how to hit, how to field, and I'm not about launch angle and that sort of thing. It's just about, how can you become a better baseball player? And the second piece to that is really that leadership component. Because the majority, we're not going to play professional baseball. We're not going to make it to the major leagues in the majority of sports, right? But if you have a passion for athletics, if you have a passion for coaching, if you have a passion for being a mentor, being a leader, you can take the skills and the messaging and some of your lessons that you've learned throughout your life, and you can pass it on to a younger generation. Let them know that, it's okay to be open about things. It's okay to speak up. It's okay to be yourself, when things may not be perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really the driving force behind it. Again, teaching the game the right way, keeping it pure, keeping it simple, but at the same time, those lessons that you learn on the field about leadership, about teamwork, about winning, about how to lose with respect, are things that you can take over into high school, into college, into the workforce, and in whatever environment that you're in. You can take those lessons, from your coaches, from your mentors, and pass them on, right? So it's that really that pay it forward mindset.
I absolutely love that. And that's a portion of what my nonprofit does. We help specifically minorities. We have a huge minority base here that really doesn't, like you said, get the looks, get the help. And so that is one thing that we are absolutely doing. And, for me personally, I don't think I would understand the impact of doing the next right thing or even being able to run this non for profit successfully if it wasn't for my sobriety. I feel like I have something to offer these kids now in the way of understanding leadership and understanding making hard decisions. I just feel like my sobriety enhances my leadership. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I do, right? Because you're doing something that is it's foreign, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
doing something that we're not I wouldn't say comfortable with, but I would say, yeah, we're not comfortable with it.
Right.
And to be able to share, those struggles with people, shows that, you can be a strong person. You're not weak, right?
Yes.
You're not a liability. You're actually stronger than what you think. You're stronger than what others think. And I think, what you're doing, sharing your message, having, a platform like this to talk to others is a great way to show that strength, sharing.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Devon, for absolutely everything today. I really
Thank you.
appreciate hearing about as your journey has quite literally just started, but I'm really enjoying watching your Wellness Wednesdays and learning about you, getting to see your mustache every day. It's absolutely fantastic. So I really look forward to continuing this friendship. And
No, thank you.
I hope that you have a good rest of your day. And if you stick around for a few minutes, I have just a few things to clean up with.
Sure. Thank you, Sherry. It's an honor and a privilege to be on your show. So thank you so much.
You are welcome. Okay,
Appreciate it.
so I am going to, this will be in about 2 or 3 weeks. I have a couple of shows in front of you. And
Yep.
I am also from Minnesota, and my husband loves to tell me that I'm from Canada all the time. So the fact that you're Canadian is freaking
You're close.
I'm so
Yep.
close. So, but really, thank you for doing this. And I was curious, is there a way to get in touch with Mr. Heron?
Yes, I can flip you his contact info,
If he's okay with that,
and
love
yeah,
to
you
have
can reach
him.
out to him that way. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'll flip the info to you, and you just reach out. Definitely, his schedule is packed. It took me a long time at the beginning to get a hold of him, but I got a few emails and stuff for you. I can flip your way, and hopefully you guys can connect for sure. That'd be awesome.
Awesome. And if you, in our industry, it's really difficult. So if you know of anybody else who wants to share their experience, strength, and hope, can you just let me know or let them know?
Will do. Absolutely, I will.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm going to end recording and sign off. And I hope you have an awesome weekend, Devon.
Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate the.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of a Sober Girls podcast. I hope that you heard something that resonated with you and that you can take with you for the next week until we meet again. You can find me on Instagram at a Sober Girls Pod. You can also follow me and friends at Sober City Movement on Instagram as well. If you live in the Richmond area, follow me at Sober in Richmond, where we plan local sober meetups. Or if you're just traveling and looking for a friend in the area, there's one of us in almost every city across the continent. Struggling and need help? Just remember that you are not alone. You can reach out to me and any of my friends on Instagram, send us a message. Or if you are in immediate need of help, please search out your sponsor, the closest sober friend, or go online to aa.org to find a meeting that you can attend. There are also Zoom meetings, which you can find on aa.org as well. Have a safe week, and until next time, fam, be well.